Well. Welcome back. Part 2 of depression, anxiety, how they affect us and our goals, and what we can do to remove their grip on us. If you haven't heard part 1, which was released last week Sunday, I highly suggest you go back and listen to part 1 because this is going to be a continuation of last week's episode. This is, again, as you heard in the beginning of last week's episode, this is going to be part 2. This is also equally as long, if not probably longer. I'm not sure. But point is, I'm not going to hold you here, because I'm not about holding you here with long intros and everything. So we're going to get right into this video. Hopefully you have your pen and paper ready, maybe some snacks because you might get hungry. And let's get this week's episode started. Part 2, let's go.
A scary thing about our depression and our anxiety when it comes to purpose is sometimes you can create your own purpose within that. And that's, it can be very dangerous. You know how they say, there's villains and there's heroes? A villain never starts off as a villain, in my eyes. A villain is normally pushed to that point where they develop the ideas of a villainous character. In my opinion, a villain does not wake up one day and say, hey, I want to be bad. No, there's a reason. There is a particular reason why. And that gives them purpose. Sometimes, and I'll use myself as an example. Sometimes that depression and the stress of dealing with the problem, which creates the anxiety, turns us into things that we never really planned on becoming. This wasn't foretold. This wasn't something that was on the bucket list. Life just happened and you ended up in a bad situation where, I don't know, your feelings took the wheel. And when your feelings take a wheel, you might as well be just like that ship and, you're lost. You're lost inside of a purpose that you didn't even create, but you allowed your problems to fester and mold you into something that you're not. And that's one thing that really gets me with problems, because once you mold yourself into that person, that character, you think differently. The way you perceive things is not as accurate as it should be. Me and Rashawn a couple weeks back, or I think 2 weeks back, were talking about people who justify things as right and wrong. I'm not here to preach about right and wrong. I'm just making a quick hypothetical, if you will.
Go ahead.
There are those people who feel that abortion is right. There are those people who feel like shooting children is right. I'm not saying this is right. I'm not saying this is wrong. There are people out there who share this mentality. There's people who are self-righteous and look at criminals in a certain way. And then there's people who act like they're better than you because they're not doing as bad as other people. You see what I'm saying? It's like we're creating justifications out of our purposes. I'm not saying all these people are depressed, and I'm not saying all these people have anxiety, but one theme that I seem to recall is justification. Because when we're depressed, we're sad. And when we're sad, we do certain things and justify them as acceptable. When we don't really have to dwell on those problems. We don't have to let those problems turn us into ugly monsters that we see inside our heads. Because whatever we think, we manifest. We think of an idea, every day I wake up. How do I get up? I think about it. What do I do next? I go wash, I go eat. In order to do those things, I have to think and then put it into action. So when my thoughts are affected by these emotions and all these monsters inside my head, they play a role on my actions and not just my actions, but my mentality. That's why I say depression is such a dangerous element, man. Like it stimulates multiple things, and they're not all bad. Sometimes depression can push you to be better than what you once were. So you don't have to, you don't have to box yourself in and be this persona that you created, or be this problem. You are not your problems. Okay? That's another misconception that I see in the reality that is human nature. A lot of people define themselves by the issues that they have. Oh, I'm a black man, and I'm just, everyone's racist towards me, and whatever. Or I'm depressed, and I'm not worth crap, and I'll probably never be worth anything in my life, and I should probably kill myself. And it's like, where is this all coming from? Your sadness. This is not coming from your joy. This is not coming from your happiness. This is not coming from your diligence. This isn't coming from your perseverance. This is coming from one emotion. And ultimately, that emotion is honestly not even sadness. It's fear. Fear, to me, is the catalyst for a lot of madness that goes on in the world. Fear of losing. Fear of not figuring out the problem that you're in. Fear of becoming even more depressed. And then that just gets you depressed even more. It's like a cycle. But it's something that I noticed. If we can tame our fear and tame the idea of depression, use it for something good, something to better yourself. Because the only thing depression will do is try to bring you down. That's just how it is. Bad energy will always try to bring you down, even within yourself. When you're sad and you're feeling a sense of melancholy, don't let it bring you down. Always remember that it can fuel you and lift you up, lift your spirit, and show you keys that you weren't noticing at first. When you were sad, your mind is in a certain mental state. But once you start to open up your mind, you start to see things in a different light. And now your demons start working for you. A friend of mine, Ryan, he goes by Anti-Hollywood. He told me, I don't let my demons, conquer me. I make my demons work for me. That means recognizing that they exist, not putting them into a hole on top of all the things that make you happy. Recognize that it's there and make it work for you. Because that demon, that depression, will try to bring you down and mold you into a character that is not your purpose. Create your own purpose.
Man, that was beautiful, man. So many good actionable tips in there, just making your demons work for you instead of working for them. Don't succumb to that, creating your own purpose. I absolutely love it. That kind of leads me into my next question that I had, and like what personal growth tips are you currently using to improve your overall quality of life? Because we already heard one is just, trying to make your demons work for you and finding your purpose. So I was wondering if you had anything else that you wanted to share with the listeners right now about what tips you're personally using, whether that could be personal life or whether that could be overcoming issues in the music industry or whatever have you. The floor is yours for that.
Okay, so when it comes to personal growth, I always gotta hold a mirror up and look at myself first, because who knows growth better than your own growth. Going through this year and last year, one key element was patience and understanding, because life is so fast, man. Like, 1 minute you're a kid, you blink your eye, the next minute you're 60 years old, blink your eye again, the next minute you're dead. It's like life is moving so fast that sometimes we don't have time to dissect things accordingly. Now, I'm not saying that my listeners, our dear listeners, aren't doing that already. Some of them are probably having trouble dissecting, and some of them probably feel like they're doing fine. That's fine. But always, always, always practice patience and understanding. If you don't understand, how can you learn? If you don't comprehend, how can you grow? The patience is the timing. The understanding is the wisdom. It takes time to understand wisdom. Your depression will tell you one thing, but if you're patient, you will understand something better. It's patience is something that I've been using and utilizing. Now I'm not acting like I'm the master of patience, man. I'm the worst. I'm so impatient, it kills me. I can't even wait, in line for like some coffee. I'm just like, all right, come on, let's go. Because I'm a very time sensitive person. I like going by the plan. And that's another thing I noticed about human nature, whereas when our plans get screwed up and our plans get a little thrown into disarray, we start to panic. We start to stress, the anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
We start to... Now, go ahead, bro. We start to develop the demons. They start playing with our hearts. And we have to be patient with ourselves, not just with the world and understanding everything around it, but we have to be patient with ourselves because we're moving fast too. I mean, dude, if we actually looked at this objectively, we're on a ball spinning at like 1,000 miles per hour in the middle of space, which is also spinning around a giant star every single year. Time flies, but don't let time rule you. You have plans. That's okay. But slow down and understand that the obstacles, the detours and stuff like that, they're meant to show you things. They're not meant to bring you down. It feels like the world is just like, oh man, so many things that just bring me down. Racism, class system, fake friends, fake energy, fake this, fake that. Nothing's real. Come on, man. You're standing on the ground. You pinch yourself. You're real. Don't say nothing's real. That's the depression. That's that negative energy talking inside of your head. There's always another side of the coin. And I guess my main personal growth tips is capturing that understanding and utilizing it in a productive way, because understanding is just the tip of the iceberg. If you want to be truly Titanic, you have to take that understanding and implement it in your life and make something out of it. Because if you just leave it inside your head, what good is knowledge if you don't use it? It's powerless. It's just a random fact you can throw into a conversation to make yourself feel interesting, I guess. But you have to be patient with yourself and watch another personal growth tip. Growth. Literally just the word growth. Watch your growth. Be patient with how you grow. You never know how God's going to use you. You never know how you're going to upgrade and evolve. You might have a plan for your life and think, man, nothing's going as planned. I want it to be at this level. I want it to be at this level. I want it to be this good. I want it to be this great. Why am I not this? Why am I just this? Sometimes it's okay being just this, being at this level down here. Because it can show you things that you won't be able to see when you get up there. I was listening to Pastor T.D. Jakes. He was talking about basically like shaving. He was shaving with his son one day, and his son walked into the bathroom. He wanted to see the razor. And while he was shaving, he looked down at his son and he said, "No, you're not old enough." And I know to the boy, the razor is a blessing, but isn't it funny how sometimes a blessing can be a curse if it's given to you too soon? And I sat back and thought about it for a second. Because, the boy playing around with the razor could really hurt himself. But, he's just trying to be a man like his dad. It's commendable. It's honorable. But sometimes we have to wait for that level that we want to reach. Rome wasn't built in one day. Chicago wasn't built in one day. Great things take time. And, sometimes time isn't as long as we think it is. We always be like, oh man, it just takes time. And that kind of bums people out because they're like, oh, there goes that word again. Oh man, this is going to be forever. But then, somehow it just happened. And, what happened, universe? What? You never know how your time is going to work. And that's another thing about perception. The way we see the world, the way we see time is very important. That's why I want to tell the listeners, like, guys, be patient with yourself. Be patient with the world. And understand, truly comprehend the things that are going around within you and outside of you. Mm-hmm. Because then that can grow your perception, your mindset. I promise you, your mindset about life will change if you look at the other side of the coin and slowly try to understand yourself. Don't let those demons kill you. Make them work for you. Understand those demons. Sometimes we live in a world of just definitions where we see something that's a problem and we, define it. Like, okay, here's what the problem is. Well, how are you going to solve it? You going to let it push you around? You going to let it bully you, kick you, spit on you, laugh at you? Or are you going to do something about it? Are you going to change? Be better than this little problem? Because problems are only as big as we make them. I went through a period of time where I didn't really care about anything. And when I say anything, I mean, I don't want to be here. I want to be gone. I want to die. I don't want to be here. That's where my depression takes me, to a place of complete solitude and vacancy from everything. In my head, I was justified. I felt like this was right. I have the right to be sad, right? I got hurt. Everyone has this idea in their head, like, oh no, I'm hurt. Of course I'm sad. I have the right. But, it's not right. It's wrong. Staying sad and dwelling on it just pushed me into even deeper sadness, pushed me into deeper emotions where I became a monster, not just to myself, to my family, to my friends, to the people who actually cared about me when I didn't even care about me. Depression is a monster. If you let it eat you, it will devour you. So you have to be patient when it comes to your growth. Don't let the expectations that you set for yourself bum you out, because life isn't going to go the way you want, man. Guys, life isn't sunshine and rainbows every day, even for the people who live in Florida, even for the people who live on beautiful islands, even for the people who have riches and wealth beyond their wildest dreams. I promise you, each and every single one of those people can find something wrong with life that drags them down.
Amen to that.
So, it's all about patience and understanding. Don't move too fast, friends.
Absolutely. And then when just piggybacking off a little point that you said there, when we have those emotions, when we experience those emotions, I know we had a conversation, I don't even know how long, maybe a couple weeks or so back, when we were on a call with each other before. And then you brought up a wonderful point that I was really pondering for a long time. And you'd said, even if you have the right, is it right to do wrong? Is it right to stay in that mentality, or is it right to do the wrong? Because echoing what you said, a lot of people they'll be wronged. They will have been done wrong, and they will hold on to this grudge, and they are, in a way, they are justified. You can have that grudge, but one, for how long are you going to have that grudge? Because the Bible does say to not let the sun go down upon your anger. And number two, not only how long are you going to hold that grudge, but also holding that grudge is not doing anything good for you. If you really, really, really delve into the grudge, why do you have it? A lot of times people will have that grudge because they think they're getting back at somebody, like they have some dirt on them of some sort. When 9.995 times out of 10, all the time that happens, what happens is literally just that person is living their best life. They're basically living the dream at this point. You know what I mean? Like they're just doing their own thing. They're living their life. They're probably doing great things at this point. And they just, and you're sitting there just like, man, that person did XYZ to me, and I'm going to get them back one day. And you hold that grudge for a minute, a month, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, decade, 20 years, 30. I've actually talked to some people who actually have like grudges for like some older people who I work with. Man, these people have had grudges on other people in the same workplace for like 20 years. And I'm just like, bro, what did they do that was so bad? Oh, they called me in one time when I took a day off and now I'm upset. And I'm just like, okay, yes, you are justified to be upset. You had your day off. You called it off well in advance, but you're still upset
man, it's
after
been 20
all this time.
years.
Exactly. Like you're still upset after all this time. Again, back to the Bible says, don't let the sun go down. The sun done went down 365 times 20. Okay. And you still upset. And that person probably done left the company at this point, and you're still upset with them. Like, honestly, if you really have that much of a problem with them, go to that person. Okay. Go to that person. I like to think, it kind of reminds me of another thing that I like to remind myself of all times, right? In life, you can be one of two things. You can be a thermostat or you can be a thermometer. You can maintain your internal temperature at a certain degree, or you can always keep reacting to what's going on. At that point, I looked at that person. I was like, look, I didn't tell them this, but I was thinking in my head, look, you're acting like a thermometer right now. You're just reacting to what this person has done to you all these X years ago, instead of being a thermostat and just remaining at this core temperature and say, okay, this person did me wrong. What steps can I now take to now correct this action? Yes, again, don't get me wrong. You are justified to be upset that person called you in on your off day. That probably wasn't right. But do you have the right now to stay upset for an extended period of time? No, you don't. Take it up with the person, talk with them, and see, come to some understanding, some agreement. Maybe they can apologize. Because a lot of times, a lot of people will stay upset at things, and they'll realize when they finally get around to talking about it, it was a misunderstanding. Like a lot of times, like if you look at marriages, right? Like around half of marriages, I think, or so end in divorce. But a lot of times it's because of lack of communication. And I'm sitting here like, if people just communicate respectfully to one another, I'm pretty sure most of their issues would be solved. Now, again, not all, but most of their issues would definitely be solved. Because a lot of times someone said bring eggs and someone saw milk, but they didn't remember bring eggs, so they brought milk, and now, that's an argument. When instead of having an argument and then wanting to get an annulment of some sort, all you have to do is just text the person at the store, like, don't forget to bring the eggs, or the other person can set a reminder on their phone saying, hey Siri, hey Bixby, whatever, okay Google, whatever they have to say, to just say like, okay, remind me to pick up eggs and milk. Simple miscommunication solved. And there you go. Argument avoided. So again, coming back to my point of, just trying to keep your temperature at the same, just seeing that if you just set that reminder, let them text you, your level that's internal is just going to remain the same. It's just going to stay there, and everything keeps going nice and smooth. And it just works with it. You're not adjusting to the temperature of your surroundings at all or anything. And in the same way with the whole depression thing, that's another thing too. In the same way, are you going to let your depression lower your overall internal temperature? Or are you going to say, this is just another one of my demons. I have to face this. Like, there's just no way around it. No ifs, no ands, no buts. I have to face this head on. There's no way. Like, if a lot of people, some of the listeners aren't Christians that are listening to this, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people know of the story about David and Goliath and how David killed Goliath with the sling and the stone. David could not kill Goliath if he did not face Goliath head on. Like, there's just no way. If he did not follow his purpose of God saying, look, you have to go kill Goliath right now, he would not be able to do that if he did not face Goliath head on. He couldn't go around because Goliath was like 10 feet tall, I think he was. And so there was no possible way to go around this guy. You just had to face him head on. In the same way, you have to face your demons absolutely just head on. Will it be easy? No. Everything is easier said than done, because just simply saying is just simply moving your lips. Okay, that's real easy to do. Everything in life is easier said than done. But we are here, and that's why I brought him onto the show, listeners. I brought him onto the show so he can give you all some tips, because you see, he has suffered from this before, and I'm pretty sure, you know, it's still like an ongoing battle that you're going with. But you know, he's giving you these personal tips that you can use to grow, to improve your overall quality of life. That way you can start facing these demons that you have, and you can just attack them head on. Just, yeah, you know, you go on ahead, man. I don't want to get off too much on a tangent here, because, you know, I want to give you the floor for
nah,
you
man,
if you want to say anything else.
Your tangents, you be spitting, bro. Like, for real. I need those tangents. I need more of the same energy, because those are reminders. And I know some of our listeners who might be listening in, they need those reminders on in their life, because that's just our good energy. And I'm not saying good energy as in we're good people. I'm saying we're finding ways to deal with the problem constructively rather than letting the problem deal with us constructively. It's not simple. It's difficult, but it's easy to understand. Mm-hmm. So what I want you guys to do is not be so hard on yourself if it gets difficult sometimes, because that's the point. Okay? I know God puts certain things in my life that I'm just looking at them like giant skyscrapers in my way. And I'm like, what's the point? I'm not strong enough. I'm not fast enough. But God is, you know, I don't have the capabilities of doing and taking care of this situation. But if I'm patient and try to understand that I am not in control, and try to understand that this darkness that I'm feeling is not the only feeling that exists in this lifetime, you will, not can, I guarantee you will find better ways to deal with this. Your depression will not rule you the way that it has been ruling me for years and years and years and years. And that's something, you know, that's something I regret. That's something that I neglected about myself, because I stole years of joy and happiness from myself. I can't blame anybody else. I can't blame the devil. I can't blame my enemies. I can only blame myself. I spoiled my happiness being upset and dwelling on it like it was I made the depression my god, because it ran me. So that's why I'm emphasizing the patience and the understanding, because these are the keys, guys. These are the keys to keep you, you know, to keep your heart straight, because you will stray. Trust me. You're going to listen to this podcast, wake up tomorrow and fall short, you know? And you know what? So am I. So are we. We're no different from you guys. You know what? We're no different.
We are
man,
not.
Sean, Nah, man, I'm just hyped. I appreciate you having me on here, for real.
It's no problem, man. It's absolutely great having you on. And, you know, going along with what you're saying, like I say in episodes now, you know, I'm not perfect. You know, I am just like you. Just like you, Bryce. I'm just like all the listeners here. Like, I'm no like high and mighty Buddha or anything. I haven't reached any enlightenment or anything. You know, I'm just your average Joe Schmo that's just been through, you know, some stuff that people have been through. You know, I haven't had a perfect upbringing where everything was sunshine and rainbows and I had the silver spoon in my mouth and I can do no wrong. No, I've done plenty of wrong. Okay, I am human. I have done plenty of wrong. But what I have done is been able to find out why I did those wrong things, find my purpose, and then say, okay, God gave me this purpose. How am I going to do less wrong things, the best that I can do with God's help, and be able to continue living on for that purpose? You know, that's pretty much what it is. And that's also why I keep coming back to that, and you keep coming back to the point of time, and, you know, practicing patience and understanding and slowing down is a great way to speed up, and all these wonderful points that you're hitting on. You know, this this episode is just full of just a ton of value, and I absolutely love that you're giving all these wonderful, fantastic golden nuggets here for the listeners to take down. So I really hope you listeners are just going crazy with your pen and paper right now, or actually that's kind of old fashioned, going crazy with your iPads and your Apple Pencils and writing these things down, because these are really, really solid golden nuggets here that are being dropped right now. So I want to continue on to the next question here. And it's pretty much saying, we've kind of already been touching on it and talking about it, and the question pretty much is like what we can do as, people to help minimize the grip of depression on us. If you don't mind, I'll start with this one just real quick, because, I know you're a lot more well versed on these kind of things than I am. But again, my quick thing with this is to minimize their grip. Again, I keep coming back to this. I sound like a broken record, but you have to find your purpose. Like it just comes down to finding a purpose. Like I said before, I don't even know how many minutes ago at this point, but the lighthouse. You have to keep your eyes focused on whatever that proverbial lighthouse is. If you don't know what your purpose is, ask God. Just ask him, just say, dear God, why am I on this earth? The chances of me even being on this earth are just so slim. It's insane of how slim our chances are of even being here. For you listening to this podcast, the chance of you having, proper hearing, or just being able to listen to what we're saying right now, the minuscule chance of you even being here exactly as you are, you were wonderfully crafted. Every single person who's listening or who's not listening, every single individual is wonderfully and just beautifully crafted to do something good in this world. But you have to find out what it is. Because let's say life expectancy is like 85 years. You have 85 years to make as much impact on other people as you possibly can. And you can only make the most amount of impact by following what your true purpose is. And when you align your purpose with what God has you to do, like literally nothing can stop you. Absolutely nothing. And you could go the long way and, do like what they did in math class and just guess and check, but guess and check takes so long. So why not just go to the source directly and just find out what is my purpose? After you find out what that purpose is, then you have to realize that some things, as you're going along this path, they're just out of your control. Like you can't control everything that's going on in life. There are some things that you can, and there are just some things that you can't. Like, for example, just going to work. Can you control how fast you go on the highway or on the road, however you get to work? Yes. Can you control who's going to cut you off on the highway? No, you can't. You absolutely can't. I wish I could sometimes, but you just can't do that. So what you have to do is just focus on what you can control and control that. And then literally just leave everything else up to God. Or if you don't believe in God, leave it up to the universe, whatever you want to believe in. But focus on what you actually can control. Okay? Mine's a little quote that I keep liking. I can't English today. A quote that I like to keep telling myself is pretty much, it goes like this. I actually wrote it down. So it says, if I can do something about it, do it. If I can't, roll with the punches. That's if you just adopt, and again, like I'm saying this and I'm still adopting it. So I'm not saying I've adopted it perfectly to every single scenario that I'm in. But what I am saying is that when you start to adopt that mindset, you start to realize, oh, if I can control this, or if I can do something about this, or if I can change this, no matter how easy or hard, if I can do something, I can change it for the better, let's do it. If I can't, then I just can't. This is just something that just comes with the territory of whatever I'm doing, and then
I feel a little different. Mm-hmm. Like for some people, like trying to think about outside of the box, because the solutions that people might come up with might be completely unorthodox to your daily routines. But don't be afraid to try something new.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Sean.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That was definitely a good addition. Like, because for example, if you look at anything that happened now, if everybody just kept repeating the same thing over and over and over again, would we have the internet? Would we have Amazon? Would we have anything that we have nowadays? If somebody or some people did not innovate and do something new, you have to have those people who are the trailblazers and the trendsetters and those kind of people, the thought leaders and whatever you want to call them. You have to have those people in order to really push the envelope forward, to really push and really get something else out of life, to really like expand on what we already know as people. Because again, like I said, life is so limited. Time is so short. You have to you have to make impact. You have to make it fast. Okay. Success seeks speed. That's what I like to say to people. Success seeks speed. That does not mean to go rush, and just keep busy. No. Find your purpose, stay productive with it, and then just move fast in that one direction. Horse blinders on, moving in that direction.
Well said. Low-key, I think I need to be taking notes right now. Definitely hitting on some points that could help me. Because this is not just for you guys. This is not just for the listeners, but we're taking mental notes too. This is a way for us to grow. So, we don't want to come here thinking we're better than anybody else. We're no different. Again, we're no different from you guys. So,
oh no, I'm actually writing stuff down right now as we speak, man. I got my notepad open. I'm taking notes myself too. I've definitely been taking a lot of notes as you've been talking. So I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just wanted to just let people know,
Nah, dude, it's fine. It's totally fine. I feel like the more like-minded individuals come together and talk on these and speak on these things, the less closer to depression they get. When you have someone that you can bounce ideas off of, or even if you don't have that special person in your life who sits there and talks with you about these problems, it feels good, for me at least, like, to know that there's people out there that exist. Sometimes I just wake up and feel like, am I an alien or something? Am I going through this life as this one raw element that is completely different from everything else? Or did I not get the memo or something? And there's a lot of people out there that feel like they don't have this special memo, this invisible memo of society. But one thing I do know is that when it comes to dealing with problems and solutions, you will find like-minded people. That is 100%. It might take a while. It might not be as much as an army. It might just be like 1 or 2, 3 people, but that's enough. God has sent a lot of people in my life to show me who my real friends are. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't be out here starting to question your real friends. But for real though, question the people that you surround yourself with. Because that can also feed into your depression. Aha! A topic we haven't really hit on.
There you go.
You see, depression isn't only stimulated from your problems, it's also external. It could come from anywhere, man. An idea, an object, a love interest, a friend, an enemy. All these external things play a role in your life. You have to know when to disconnect your connection to these things because it affects your energy. And whatever affects your energy affects your mind. And whatever affects your mind affects your body. You see the steps? It's levels to this. It doesn't just start with the internal struggle that you're facing. It can stimulate from an external force that makes its way into your internal system. Quite the concept to grasp, but with time and patience.
There it is again.
Yep, you can master and tame these demons. And I'm not saying your friends are demons. Don't go out there and be like, you're God, get thee behind me. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying know who your friends are. Sean is I can truly stand here and say that Sean is one of the closest people in my life. And it's not because he has good wisdom. And it's not because he's a black man. It's not because he's tall and, works out and he's, smart. It's because he's Rashawn. It's because he's who he is. Everything that he embodies, all the ideas, when I think of him, the good outweighs the bad. When you think of your friends, when you think of the people who are in your life that are close to you, what ideas come to your head? Take a moment to ask yourself. Picture a person. Picture anything. What do you feel about it? That has an effect on you in crazy, dangerous ways. Don't get scared. Be cautious. Understand your surroundings, including the people that lie within them. You'll probably get a better perspective on things. It might bum you out to find out some of your friends aren't as solid as you want it to be, but it might encourage you because maybe, you might find friends who actually care for you. I'm speaking for myself now because I again was poisoned and torturing my mind with thoughts that didn't really line up with reality. And I ended up looking at people differently. The friends who were there and actually cared about me, I pushed them in the back. I didn't value them as much as I should have. I was valuing people who didn't even deserve my respect, didn't deserve my patience, didn't deserve my understanding. They weren't adding anything to my life. They were dividing my vision, so I had to subtract them. And I know a lot of us grow attached to certain things, to certain people. This goes back to what me and Sean were talking about with depression. Sometimes when we're depressed, we're not thinking straight and we feel attached to certain things that aren't good for us. Those attachments that grow and fester and turn into almost like an addiction. Like, I've been going so long with this idea. I've been going so long with this type of person that it feels almost dishonorable to part with it. But goes back to the aspect of understanding. You have to understand what's best for you. What's best for you is not always going to be what's best for another person. People will try to downplay you for this. Try to criticize you like, oh, you've changed. Yeah, I've changed. But you're saying it like it's bad. Change can be bad, but it can also be good. Why are you only focusing on the bad? What kind of friend are you? Do you want the best for your friends? Or are you too busy criticizing them when they're trying to better themselves? Did you take the time to understand them? Or are you just speculating? Again, that's something that I suffer with. Speculations. Coming up with ideas when I'm not too sure about a certain person, place, or thing. It's just as oh my bad, sorry.
Oh,
no,
you go ahead.
It's just as dangerous as being depressed and anxiety because the uncertainty pushes us to a place where we don't have supreme understanding. It's more like, I have a feel for, I have an idea for how this should be, but it's not as accurate. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on your toes, Sean.
No. That's perfectly fine. You're hitting on to some fantastic points. Just reminded me of two things as you were talking. Like, number one is when we talk about watching who our friends are. I know I definitely harp on this so much. Like, even in some of my Instagram posts. So if you're not following me on Instagram, you should definitely go follow me there at Motivate Grind Succeed, and you'll see what I'm talking about. When I talk about hashtag shameless plug, and then so what I talk about on there, and I've talked about in the show notes before, I think it's episode 9, where I talk about that you need to control and trim your circle of influence, you know. And I'm pretty sure, I think you went to the, remember the Iron Sharpens Iron conference that we went to, and we had the guy talking about the whole add, subtract, multiply, divide quadrant. I'm not sure if you quite remember that too much, but we definitely had that, and it was such a good thing that I literally made an entire episode about it. So again, if you want to understand about how to trim your circle and everything, then just definitely go back and listen to that episode once you finish this one, and it I guarantee you, if you put into action what's in that episode, it will absolutely bless you, and it will be a wonderful impact, because it's a tool that I still use. I'm not going to get too much into it now because I really want you to go and take action on that. But the second thing that I was thinking about as you were talking, kind of related also to the negative friends that we have, or the negative people that we call our friends. And that's just them having a crab mentality. A lot of people surprisingly haven't heard about what a crab mentality is, and what it is that when fishermen go out to sea and then they're pretty much going crab fishing, they put them in a bucket. And after they put them in this bucket, they never put a lid on the bucket. And most people will say, why won't you put a lid on the bucket? And the reason why is because crabs do not want other crabs to get out. They always keep pulling each other back down, saying, you're not going to get out, I am. No, you're not going to get out, I am. And if every single one of the crabs in that bucket has that you're not going to get out of here, I am mentality, literally nobody ever gets out. And in the same way, when we have those negative friends, if everybody, like you said, when people come to you and say, oh, you've changed, and they say it in that kind of tone, like, oh, you've changed so much. Like, no, they come at you like, oh, you've changed. Like, clearly, and you've changed for the better, then those people are having that crab mentality. Those are the negative friends you need to cut out. Like, are you really wanting the best for me right now? Or are you just jealous, or are you upset because I'm trying to better myself, and here you are trying to pull me back down to whatever level you're at because maybe you had a failure or something, and you're not trying to do better because you think, oh, life's out to get you and this, that, and the other. But I'm over here trying to succeed, trying to do good, so that eventually I can pull up the people who are coming from behind me. And then I'm pulling along those people. I'm bringing them along on the path. Again, it goes back to the whole point I made before. I'm blazing the trail so that people who are coming behind me don't have to blaze as far. Yes, they can take some of what I did and then do their own thing. But if people just want to follow my tracks, I've already blazed the trail, making it much, much easier for them just to come follow along and say, look, follow the steps that I did, and you'll get to the same place I did. Just be able to fast track yourself on the way to that. So those are 2 points that I want to hit on, controlling your circle of influence, and just, the crab mentality. And if people have that crab mentality, you just have to cut them out. Again, easier said than done, but you just have to. It's not going to be, these could be friends you've had for your entire life. And I do speak from experience. These could be people you've known your entire life. And it's really not easy. It really is not easy. But the short-term pain will be so worth it once you get through it. In terms of the long-term reward, absolutely worth it.
Well said. I honestly, I totally 100% agree. The crabs, that the crab mentality is toxic, because even sometimes the crabs themselves don't know the error of their ways. There are people who just want to drag you down, and they don't care about you like that. And then there are those who feel like they're not really dragging you down, but yo, look at the way I see life. This is how I see life. Why don't you see life like this? Well, you're stupid. Well, that's not helping the problem. That's in fact, it's hurting the problem. You're not addressing anything. That those kinds of people, again, you have to be patient with, because not everybody wants the worst for you. Some people are just going through the same ordeals, but in different ways. We all deal with pain differently. We have titles for it: racism, bullying. Throw something up there and name it. There's different ways to deal with it, and we all operate under the same threshold: pain and fear. Those 2 things are what drive us. These crabs in our lives that keep us down, that's not what it's meant to be. You're not meant to be kept down. And if you're keeping these kind of people around you, you'll never elevate. You're not gonna you're not going to grow. They say you are your friends, and you are what you eat. So here's a little food for thought. When it comes to your friends, what are they feeding into? Because that has an effect on you and your world. Ooh, scary. Yeah, not just you, but everything around you gets affected. But don't let that scare you. And like Sean said, it's very simple to understand, but it's difficult and will be hard. You know, because there are some people, like I said, that you've grown attached to, or you've grown used to a certain type of lifestyle. I had a friend, and I will not say her name, because she went through a very terrible situation when she was younger, and she got touched by like an older man or whatever. And from that day on, she just had this particular idea in life that stuck with her because of an external outside force. And that older person happened to be either like a family member or a friend or like somebody that she knew very, very closely. And she went through a terrible period of depression where she was just going from person to person, you know, having sex with them to fill that hole inside of her heart that was gaping. She was trying to find a solution in love, and it wasn't really love, it was more like lust. And it kind of scared me because it wasn't something that was healthy for her. She kept getting heartbroken over and over again. And when you look at the source of the problem, it wasn't ever her problem. It was whoever hurt her in the past. And now it turned into a giant, you know, a snowball effect. When you roll a snowball down the hill, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger unless someone stops it. But sometimes that snowball is just so gigantic that now it's like, can I stop this by myself? And that's the one thing I don't want I'm sorry, I know I'm straying a little from topic to topic. I don't want the listeners to allow their problems to get so big that now they can't handle it on their own. Even a small problem as big as like a snowball in your hand still needs the adequate amount of care. And you yourself don't have to deal with it alone. I know we use our friends sometimes when it comes to the big problems that we're facing, but even those small problems that we downplay have a big impact on our lives and the way that we think. You know, those people that aren't good for us, we might see that as something that's small or little. But in a way, we can develop a strategy for ourselves so that when a problem comes, we don't face it alone. I'm sorry, I'm speaking for myself. Sometimes I set reminders to let me know that I'm not in this alone. God's with me. I have friends. I have family. I have solutions. And when those friends, when those families stop being solutions and start being problems, that's when you have to utilize yourself and figure out solutions that better benefit you. Again, it goes back to that patience and understanding. You have to be patient with yourself and discern what's best for you. I don't care how attached you've gotten to something. I don't care how attached you've gotten to a person. If it's not benefiting you, why are you attaching yourself to it? You're basically like Spider-Man in the symbiote, the black substance that turned into, Venom.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't good for him. He had to find a way to get rid of it. But even though he has a certain relationship with the alien, he still knew that it was bad for him. Don't let your relationships take control of your choices. A lot of people do and choose to do things because of their friends, because of their relationships. And that can be a deal breaker. Not saying that your friends don't help you solve your problems or your depression, but always, again, be mindful of how you're choosing to solve the problem and who you choose to go to for the problem.
Absolutely. And then also at the same time too, also the people who adopt these kind of good mindsets and take on these tips and everything, who knows, we might even be those people to be able to go up to those people who are in those ruts, who are feeling depressed, who do have that anxiety, and they do have all these things going on. We can be those people to come approach them and say, is there something I can do? Can I talk to you? Can I help you? Can I, just listen to, because sometimes all they want to do is just rant sometimes. Sometimes they don't want a full-on solution, but sometimes they want somebody to just listen to them, let them hear, because sometimes they just don't feel like they're ever heard. And so a lot of times, when you see people who are depressed or are going through that, and a lot of times they won't show those signs of just like, they're feeling bad, because they don't want to bring other people down into that sadness and into that mode with them. So they try to cover it up. But at the same time, those people are the ones who definitely need the most help. And I feel like, we need to be able to go up to them and say, hey, I can see, you're not doing the best today. I can see it on your face. Is there something you just want to talk about? If you don't know them like that, you say, here's my number. You can call me whenever. Or if you don't feel comfortable with that, give them your Instagram, Twitter. It doesn't matter what you give them. But being able to be that person that they can come to a lot of times, sometimes that's what they need right there, and then who knows, eventually you can bring that person, who knows, you could be the catalyst that brings that person out of that depressive state. And then they can start becoming the person who then catalyzes other people to come out of that depressive state. You have no idea, but you have to take that first step. And then eventually, when you do, who knows, it could be the first person you talk to, the second, the third, the fifth, the 60th. It really, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Because as long as you're here to help other people, and then you are able to then bring that person up, who knows, that person will then probably look to you as a role model or some kind of therapist of some sort or whatever have you. And then they'll be able to, come with you. Who knows, you might be able to make them like-minded like you, and they can say, hey, I used to be depressed for such a long time. I used to battle these demons because of what happened in the past. And now this person can go and encourage other people. And then just like you said, Bryce, now you have these like-minded individuals now that you are able to surround yourself with. And then again, going back to the whole circle of influence thing, you're now able to surround yourself with these people. I'm not saying you have to go build up a tribe or anything, but you're surrounding yourself with these like-minded people, and then these people will then be able to just encourage each other. You know what I mean? Because like there's nothing greater than just a group of people that encourage each other. As the quote says, you are the sum, or you are the average, whichever version you're reading. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with. Its background goes back to the Bible of, whoever you hang around an angry person, you'll begin to learn their ways. It's the exact same concept here. Whoever you hang around, whoever's in your circle, they influence you. And as you said, I'm echoing you again, because this was a really good point you made. Whoever you hang around not only influences you and your thoughts, but also the world around you and how you view things. How you view the world and everything, that comes from the circle of influence that's there. Yes, you have your own opinions. Yes, you have your own thought processes. But when you surround yourself with people who think, on the next level higher than you, that's where you start to see the growth. Because if you look at any good entrepreneur or anything, I'm not going to name any names because there's a lot of good examples out there. But if you look at any of the good entrepreneurs out there, these people will always say, like, oh, if you're the richest in the room, you're in the wrong room. Because it's so easy to be able to say, oh, I'm in the top 1% of you people, I'm making $10 million a year, and then the next best person's making 5. That, bravo, congratulations, hand clap, you want a cookie? Because at the end of the day, if you want to up your game, you cannot be with the people who are making $5 million a year. Again, you can help them to get to where you are, but in order for you to really help them even more, you have to push yourself to that next level. Because as they say, however it is, however you have to do that, surround yourself with people, read, research. As I say, leaders are readers. You have to constantly educate yourself, keep bettering yourself, because there's no way that you can better somebody if you're not bettering yourself. So every time I'm making an episode, I'm doing thorough research, I'm doing diligent research, I'm talking to people, I'm interacting with other people, I'm getting all this information together before I deliver this episode, because I'm saying, look, this is a combination of things that I've dealt with, what other people have dealt with. Here's how I've dealt with it. Here's how they've dealt with it. I'm trying to make sure this is the most, I'm learning about things. That's why I brought you on the show too, because, personally, I haven't suffered with as much of depression. This is not to brag or boast or anything and say I'm better than you in any way, shape, or form. But I haven't. But the demons that you face are not the demons that I have faced. Respectfully, of course.
Facts.
That's why I brought you on the show, because some people are suffering with the same kind of demons that you're suffering with, and honestly, I don't feel qualified to answer any questions based on, like depression. I mean, I have some general ideas, I've talked to some people, including you and other people about what they have done. But at the end of the day, I can't say, oh, I was depressed for such a period of time, here's what to do. I don't have that kind of expertise. So that's also why I brought you on, and how you've dropped so many golden nuggets on this episode, man. It is insane. It's not even funny. And so, but before we go, this episode's getting lengthy, but it's a great conversation. But I wanted to touch on it. I wanted to touch on at least one more question, and that was, how can we spot people who are depressed and properly approach them, and then also what kind of steps can we, try to give them to, help them get out of that depression?
Okay, so one way Now listen, you're not always going to be able to spot someone who's sad or going through a period of pain. Trust me, it's not easy. Some people love to hide their pain, and they have their reasons. I know my reason sometimes is, I just don't want to drag people down with me. I don't want to be a burden. There goes that word, burden. But some people actually want to help you shoulder the burden. I know in the Bible it says, cast all your cares on him. Why? Because he cares for you. If you really care about your friends, pay attention to them. Pay attention to how they move. Pay attention to how they're feeling. I notice sometimes my mom lights up when I mention like a Bible verse or something. My dad lights up when I mention certain topics. Our friends' emotions, we know what makes our friends happy. We know what makes our friends sad. I'm not saying we should have our friends 100% down pat. But one thing I do is I try to keep in touch with them and try to ask questions. There are people who have conversations and say like, oh, how, what's up? And then they text back, none, you? Yeah, nothing much. What are you doing? Nothing. Okay, LOL. Conversation over. Then there are those who are saying, hey, I haven't talked to you all day. How was your day? Not just how was your day, but why do you feel that way? Be invested in your friends, because a lot of times when they see that somebody is invested in them emotionally, then you're more prone to opening up and sharing with them your true feelings. Now, even if it's like, okay, how do you spot? That's one way to spot depression within your friends. Showing that being a true friend and opening up to them. Another way you can spot depression is in other people. You know, like you might, walk on the street, see somebody sad, but you don't want to like mess with them because you don't really know this person at all. And I can understand that from a security standpoint. But speaking for me, sometimes I feel like the Spirit leads me to speak with some people. I don't know what it is. Sometimes it's just a feeling like, hey, go talk to that guy. If you see somebody who is sad and you have good energy, why not be that light in their eyes? I feel like sometimes in the world we're always looking for blessings, but be a blessing. Sometimes the blessing is the fact that you are a blessing to somebody in their life. And when you're a blessing, they can start to see, count their own blessings and reap the benefits. Now, I'm not telling the listeners to be Professor X and try to read minds and figure out when someone's sad or when someone's not sad. The main point here is pay attention. It goes going back to the patience and the understanding. You're not always going to hit the nail on the head, and people aren't always going to want to open up to you, especially your friends. Friends are more prone to opening up to you because you've grown with them and gained a sense of respect and closeness. Yes. But in all honesty, try to understand the situation. When someone's depressed, like my friend who got raped, I didn't just go up to her right after and say, hey, are you okay? I gave her some time to process it and think about, think about it a little bit, which is also something that alludes to patience. I don't know. It depends, really. It's not easy spotting sadness and depression and anxiety in a person. But once you do, be mindful of how you approach them, whether it's the friend who got raped or somebody who lost someone they really care about. Just be mindful of how you help them, because that plays a big role in their growth and also plays a big role in how they deal with the issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know another thing that I definitely use to not to just try to pry like, oh, are you depressed? I don't ever try to do that, because clearly everyone's just gonna say no. What I do is, when I start the conversation, like, oh, I haven't talked to you in a while, how are you feeling? And they'll just say something like, oh, I'm feeling good. And I'm just like, and then sometimes I'll just be led to say, okay, but how are you really feeling? And sometimes that's all it takes. And the person they'll just start typing like, I've just been really not feeling it. Or they'll just go in something like, I've just been having a tough time at this, and I just need some help, or just need to rant to somebody. And sometimes just even simply me just texting, how are you really feeling, has actually sparked them to just start texting, and eventually they'll just call me. They'll say, I feel like this is better just done over a phone call, and they'll call me, and then we'll be on the phone for like 30, 45 minutes, an hour sometimes, and most of the talking is just them just ranting and letting it all out, and just they don't want a solution. They just want to know that somebody's there genuinely listening to them. That's another big thing too. You have to genuinely listen to these people. After you finally get them to open up, genuinely listen. And unless they specifically ask you, what would you do? Don't try to find a solution, because that most times that's just not what they want. They don't want someone to solve all their problems half the time. A lot of time, at least with the people that I interact with, they don't want the problem solved. They just want someone to first hear them, let them let it out. And if they want a solution, then they will say, I need some help. Can you help me? That's what they'll do. And that's why I feel like it's a good way definitely to approach them. Just check up, like you said, definitely just check up on them, really ask them how are they really feeling, and have a genuine interest on them, and with them, and don't be afraid to check up on them, and then doing that, you'll be able to cultivate a good relationship. And if you already had that friend, you can just strengthen that friendship, and then that'll be a really tight bond that you have between you and that other individual. So,
and when the bond grows, that depression slowly fades. That specific problem that you once thought was super huge just turned into a little, small. It turned small. Now you have a relationship that's growing with your friends in a positive way. It's all about growth. You don't want the problem to grow. Problems aren't meant to grow. You're meant to grow from your problems.
That's deep. I don't know if y'all heard that, but y'all got to write that down. Okay, right? y'all got. Ooh, that was good. That was good. Y'all need to write that one down.
I'll say it for the people in the back. Mm-hmm. Problems are meant to grow. You have to grow from your problems. Let your demons work for you, and I promise you, you will see results that you weren't really seeing before. And I only say that because I can only speak for myself. And honestly, I've gained so many blessings from my problems. I used to look at my problems in a certain aspect like they were just nothing but voids of negativity. But in all honesty, some of my most positive moments in my life came from my problems and how I dealt with them accordingly.
Man, I don't even know how to respond to that, man, or continue from that. That was really, really good. That was really, you got me over here thinking.
But yo, I'm not gonna lie, my supervisor done pulled up on me trying to get my attention. I don't want to cut this cast short because we were hitting amazing points for hours, man. Just talking about ways to help our listeners and ways to help people who are going through some things. And honestly, guys, it's not going to happen in one day. But if you keep practicing and you keep pushing yourself, because you're going to have to push yourself. There's no, you're not going to just wake up one day and be in a different position. You have to get up and push yourself to that goal. And you will see results. I promise.
Absolutely. And since it sounds like, that's pretty much all the questions I have for you, except for this one last one. And it, since we're having such a good conversation, where can these listeners, connect with you online? Because I'm pretty sure that, I not even pretty sure, I 103.59% guarantee that these people got value from this episode. So, where can people find you online? Where can they connect with you if they ever want to, find you and just see what you're up to and just, people can probably use you as some kind of role model to follow. I'm pretty sure people want to find you online on the socials. And so where can they connect with you?
Yo, so if you guys have Twitter, you can follow me at page1x. On Instagram, my page is page.1x. And honestly, if you have any issues that you're dealing with or you're going through a struggle, I don't care. Hit me up. Tell me. I'll be that friend in your life. I'll sit down and listen and try to help you through that because you're not alone. The world wants you to feel like you're alone, like, oh, you only have this one life and you're playing this one game and you're by yourself and you're going to die alone and all that stuff. You're not. If there's anything that you want to talk about, anything that you're struggling with, don't be afraid to hit me up. Don't be afraid to hit Sean up. This man has good content. This man is trying to enrich us with wisdom. And I feel like, I have nothing but respect for that. And I really appreciate you having me on the show.
Man, I appreciate having you. And likewise, man. I mean, you dropped so many wonderful value nuggets today, man. It's insane. Like, you have me over here writing like crazy, man. My hand was on fire just writing all these notes, like not even joking. Like, there's so much that I could definitely incorporate into my life too. And just, trying to help more and more people. So, I thank you again very much, Bryce Denny, a.k.a. Page One, a.k.a. my brother for life.
Yes,
man, I love you so much, man. I love you so much. You don't even understand. And to all the listeners out there, that's all we have for you this week. But before you go, you already know the usual outro. Subscribe to the show if you found it useful and be on the lookout for new episodes every Sunday at 10 a.m., okay? Leave a comment and a 5-star review if you think that this podcast is worth it. Of course, you already know Bryce's wonderful Twitters, but if you also want to drop a follow for your boy, that'll be fantastic as well at The Real MGS1. I'm also on Instagram where I am more active on there at Motivate Grind Succeed. And lastly, if there's anything you want to be talked about on the show, send me a DM and that topic might just make into a future episode. Take care, you all. I'll see you all next week. Bryce, I don't know if you want to close out with anything else, but
hey, peace out and follow my boy.
Shameless plug, man. Shameless plug. All right.
Stop.
But again, thank you all so much, listeners, for listening, and I will see you all next week. Take care, you guys.